See, the next method, commercial method for the preparation of hydrogen. So the next commercial method for preparation of hydrogen is, so basically we can obtain hydrogen of highest purity. So basically we can obtain hydrogen of highly purity with almost 99.95% pure when there is electrolysis of aqueous barium hydroxide. So on commercial scale, for highest purity of hydrogen we obtained by the electrolysis of aqueous barium hydroxide. So first method, commercial method, which we have studied to obtain hydrogen gas on commercial scale by the electrolysis of water. And when we required the hydrogen of highest purity, almost 99.95% pure, then we obtain hydrogen of highest purity by the electrolysis of aqueous barium hydroxide. See, the next method for the preparation of hydrogen. The next method for the preparation of hydrogen is basically by the action of steam. Steam means water vapor. So basically by the action of steam, water vapor on carbon. So this reaction is basically called coal gasification reaction. See, when steam is passed through carbon, so basically red hot carbon is used and steam is passed through it. This reaction we call coal gas reaction, coal gasification reaction. So in this case we can see carbon is oxidized as there is addition of oxygen to form carbon monoxide, and in water there is removal of oxygen. So basically we can see that water is converted into hydrogen, and this reaction we called coal gasification reaction when steam is passed through carbon. So by this method also hydrogen gas is prepared, and the ratio of carbon monoxide and hydrogen in this reaction is 1:1 ratio. So basically when the ratio of carbon monoxide and hydrogen is 1:1, then we call this mixture CO plus H2 mixture we call water gas. And when according to old convention, when the ratio of carbon monoxide and hydrogen, when the ratio of carbon monoxide and hydrogen is 1:3 as per old convention, then we called it synthetic gas according to old convention. Now see the new convention. See, according to new convention. So basically according to new convention, if CO and H2, so according to new convention, if CO and H2 is present in any ratio, then we called it synthetic gas. Why we called it synthetic gas? Because it is used in the synthesis of many alcohols and hydrocarbons. So basically the mixture of CO plus H2, we called syngas. And there may be any ratio of carbon monoxide and hydrogen, we will call according to new convention syngas, because it is used in the synthesis of alcohols and many hydrocarbons. So therefore we called it as syngas, synthesis gas or syngas, in any ratio according to new convention. While according to old convention, the ratio of CO and H2 is 1:3. Then we called it syngas according to own convention. As we can see that how we can remove this carbon monoxide from this reaction mixture, so that we can improve the production of hydrogen, if carbon monoxide is removed. See how this carbon monoxide can be removed. So basically for the removal of this carbon monoxide from this syngas, so basically the removal of carbon monoxide for increasing the production of hydrogen, since if CO is removed, then the quantity of H2 obtained will be increased. So basically the removal of CO is done by, the removal of carbon monoxide is done by reacting the mixture of CO plus H2. So reacting the mixture of CO plus H2 with steam in presence of iron chromate as a catalyst. So basically D block elements are catalysts in the 99% reactions because they have good catalytic properties. So by using iron chromate as a catalyst and the reaction of mixture of syngas CO plus H2 with steam, when this mixture of CO plus H2 is passed with steam in the presence of iron chromate, then there is removal of carbon monoxide, as carbon monoxide will oxidize into CO2. See how. So basically this is the mixture. When this mixture of syngas CO plus H2 reacts with steam in the presence of iron chromate as a catalyst. So this carbon monoxide will oxidize into CO2 and there is more production of hydrogen gas. And carbon monoxide is removed from the process as carbon monoxide gets oxidized into CO2. So basically we have studied the preparation of hydrogen gas. First is commercial scale electrolysis of water. Then we have studied about the highest purity of hydrogen is obtained by electrolysis of aqueous barium hydroxide. Then we have studied coal gasification reaction by passing steam over carbon. When CO and H2 ratio is 1:1, we called water gas, and when CO and H2 in any ratio, we called syngas. Why we call syngas? Because it is used in the synthesis of alcohol and many hydrocarbons. See, so preparation of hydrogens we have studied. Now we are going to start another topic, which is physical and chemical properties of hydrogen. See, what are the physical and chemical properties of hydrogen? So basically we know hydrogen is colorless and odorless and also tasteless and highly combustible gas. So basically first physical property of hydrogen gas is it is colorless, odorless, tasteless and combustible gas. And second physical property, which is very important, so basically the hydrogen gas is liquefied. The hydrogen gas is liquefied at a very low temperature. So hydrogen gas is liquefied at very low temperature of near about minus 293 degrees Celsius. So at this temperature, which is very low, negative of 239 degrees Celsius, which is very low temperature, at this temperature the hydrogen gas is liquefied. And also for liquefaction we also require low temperature and high pressure, because when there is high pressure then the molecules of hydrogen gas will come together and force of attraction increases, therefore liquefaction will increase. Hence to liquefy hydrogen we require low temperature of minus 239 and high pressure. See, now we are going to discuss reactivity of hydrogen. See, as we know the reactivity of hydrogen. So basically the reactivity of hydrogen, we know in hydrogen the size of hydrogen atom is very small. Since the size of hydrogen atom is very small, therefore the hydrogen bond length is very small. So as the size of hydrogen atom is very small, so due to small size of hydrogen atom, very small bond length is present in case of H2. And we know bond length is inversely proportional to bond energy. So when bond length is less, means there is high bond energy in case of H2. And when there is high bond energy in case of H2, it means there is low chemical reactivity of hydrogen. So basically which properties we have studied now? Physical property: colorless, odorless, tasteless and combustible gas. And we know Hydrogen is liquefied at very low temperature and high pressure, and low temperature of minus 239. Why chemical reactivity of hydrogen is low? Because the size of hydrogen atom is very small. So due to small size, the bond length is small, and when bond length is small means high bond energy. To break the bond, high amount of energy is required, which is about 439 kilojoule per mole. So due to high bond energy, there is low reactivity, so there is low chemical reactivity of hydrogen. Now we can also study as due to small size. So due to small size of hydrogen, and shorter HH bond single has the high bond energy among all single bonds. Now we are going to discuss the allotropes of hydrogen. See, what are the allotropes of hydrogen? So basically the next topic we are going to study is allotropes of hydrogen. So what are the allotropes of hydrogen? See, allotropes of hydrogen. So basically we have studied the isotopes of hydrogen. Now we are going to study the allotropes of hydrogen. See, what are the allotropes of hydrogen? So basically there are two allotropes of hydrogen. One is orthohydrogen and one is parahydrogen. So two allotropes of hydrogen are, one is ortho and one is parahydrogen. See, what is the difference between the ortho and parahydrogen? So what is the difference between the ortho and parahydrogen? See, so basically in case of ortho and parahydrogen, we called it nuclear isomer. We also called ortho and parahydrogen as nuclear isomer. How we called it nuclear isomer? See, so in this case, so basically we can see that in H2, how many electrons are there? 2 electrons are there. So basically when the protons in the nucleus, when the protons in the nucleus have same spin. So when the protons in the nucleus have same spin, then we called it ortho, orthohydrogen. So basically we can see that these are the spins of proton. So this is the spin of proton and this is also the spin of proton, and we can see that the spin of proton in HH bond. So this is H2 molecule, and we can see that the nuclear spin, this is the nuclear spin. So nuclear spin of both protons have the same direction. So we can say there are also hydrogen 1 proton, hydrogen 1 proton. So when the protons in the nucleus have same spin, we call it orthohydrogen. We can see that. So nuclear spin is same. Nuclear spin is same in orthohydrogen. While when the protons in the nucleus have opposite spin, when the proton in the nucleus have opposite spin, we call it parahydrogen. We can see that in this case the spin of proton is in clockwise direction, while in this case this is also HH bond there, so H2 molecule, and the spin of proton in these two atoms are in opposite direction. One is clockwise and one is anti-clockwise. So we called it parahydrogen. And we know when the protons in the nucleus are in opposite spin, we call parahydrogen, which is less stable. While when the protons in the nucleus, like in this case of orthohydrogen, the spin of proton is in clockwise direction in this hydrogen atom, and also there is spin of proton in clockwise direction. So same direction of both nuclear spin, so it is ortho, but nuclear spin opposite direction, so it is para. And ortho, due to same direction of nuclear spin, ortho is more stable and para is less stable. Now we will discuss the stability of ortho and parahydrogen. See, what is the criteria for the stability of ortho and parahydrogen? So basically stability, as we know that paraform is less stable, paraform is less stable than Orthoform. So basically, paraform has a tendency to get converted into ortho. Why paraform has a tendency to get converted into ortho? Because we know orthoform is more stable as nuclear spin is in same direction. See the stability criteria. So basically, paraform has a strong tendency to get converted into ortho because ortho is more stable. And at low temperature, while at low temperature, there is condition of temperature. At low temperature, the paraform will dominate. So basically, at low temperature, paraform dominates, while at high temperature, orthoform dominates. So at low temperature, paraform dominates, and at high temperature, orthoform dominates. And which form is stable generally? Orthoform is more stable than paraform. So paraform always has tendency to convert into orthoform, while at low temperature, paraform is dominating, and at high temperature, orthoform is dominating. Means at low temperature, paraform will dominate. So see the temperature condition. Now we can see that when there is temperature below room temperature, and near to freezing point, so at room temperature, low temperature, room temperature which is near to freezing point means low temperature. So basically, temperature nearby room temperature and near to freezing point, which we called at room temperature nearby freezing point. We know at low temperature which form which exists, as we can see that at room temperature hydrogen only exists in the paraform. So highest percentage of hydrogen at room temperature is which? Paraform. So basically, at room temperature we can say para and ortho ratio is 1:3. So basically, we have studied there are two allotropes of hydrogen. One is orthohydrogen and one is parahydrogen. When nuclear spin is same, we call orthohydrogen. When nuclear spin different, we call parahydrogen. Ortho is more stable, para is less stable. Para always has tendency to convert into orthoform. And we know low temperature paraform dominates, at low temperature paraform dominates, and at high temperature orthoform dominates. While below room temperature, near to freezing point, hydrogen exists in the form of paraform. And at room temperature, when the ratio is compared for para and ortho, so the ratio is 1:3. Now we are going to discuss the hydrides. Of hydrogen. See, so basically hydrides are the compounds of hydrogen. It can be with metal, it can be with non-metal. See, so basically hydrides are compounds of hydrogen with metal or non-metal. For example, sodium and hydrogen bond. Sodium is metal, so this is called sodium hydride. Magnesium hydride. Ammonia is also hydride. PS3, P2S6. So all these compounds are the hydrides. So basically hydrides is classified into three types. See, the first type of hydride which we are going to study is salt-like, or we can say salt-like means saline. So three types of hydrides are there. One is salt-like, we call saline hydride. So basically we know the salt form is dominantly in case of alkali metals or alkaline earth metals. So basically these are ionic hydrides. We can also say salt-like hydrides, saline hydrides, or ionic hydrides. So these are formed mostly by S block elements. So these hydrides are mostly formed by S block elements. Now see the next type of hydride. So what is the next type of hydride? Next is interstitial, or we can say non-stoichiometric. Means the stoichiometry is not present in the simple whole number ratio. It may be present in the fraction. Therefore we called it non-stoichiometric hydride. And interstitial non-stoichiometric hydride is formed mostly by D block elements. Then we will discuss the third type of hydride, which is we called covalent hydride. So this is basically a p block elements hydride. So these hydrides, covalent hydrides, are formed by p block elements. So three type of hydrides we have discussed: salt like saline formed by s block elements, and interstitial non-stoichiometric formed by d block elements, and third is covalent hydride which is formed by p block elements. So first we are going to discuss ionic or salt like saline hydride. See the first point about ionic salt like saline hydride. As we know that these types of hydride, ionic, salt like or saline, are formed by s block metals. So these hydrides are formed by s block metals when s block metal combine with hydrogen. When s block metal combine with hydrogen, they form ionic hydride. See, beryllium and magnesium, also s block element, belongs to alkaline earth metal, but beryllium and magnesium do not form ionic hydride. Why beryllium and magnesium do not form ionic hydride? Because beryllium and magnesium mainly form covalent compounds, because electron is tightly bonded with the nucleus. Because the electron is tightly bonded with the nucleus in the case of beryllium and magnesium, therefore electron removal is difficult in the case of beryllium and magnesium. So basically all s block elements with hydrogen forms ionic hydrides, while beryllium and magnesium do not form ionic hydride, they form covalent, because their compounds are predominantly covalent. See the example. When alkali metal combine, it forms like lithium hydride, sodium hydride, potassium hydride, rubidium hydride, and cesium hydride. And always remember that in case of hydride, when hydrogen combines with metal, the oxidation state is -1. So hydride is basically H- ion. See, when alkaline earth metal, we know in case of alkaline earth metal, beryllium and magnesium do not form ionic hydride, because their compounds are mainly covalents due to anomalous behavior. Also there is high ionization energy required to remove an electron. See, so basically the ionic structure of these hydrides, which is salt like saline hydride, we call the ionic structure of these hydrides resemble with the structure of NaCl. And the structure of NaCl is basically FCC structure. So basically NaCl is basically arrangement in the form of FCC structure, we call face centered cubic unit cell, which we studied in class 12th solid state. So the ionic structure of these hydrides, which we call salt like or saline hydrides, match with the NaCl structure. Therefore they are known as salt like hydrides, because their structure match with NaCl, and NaCl is a salt, rock salt. So their structure match with NaCl we called rock salt. Therefore we called these hydrides as salt like or saline hydrides. Now see the next point. The next point is regarding their stability. See, as we can see that when we move down the group from lithium to cesium, so we can see that when we move lithium to cesium, the size of hydrogen is same, but the size of cation increases. When we move top to bottom from lithium to cesium, the size of cation increases. So the size of cation increases. So as we can see that when we move from lithium to cesium, size of hydrogen is same, while the size of cation increases. And we know that lattice energy is basically depends on the product of charge. Lattice energy depends on the product of charge and inversely proportional to square of distance between cation and anion, R plus and R minus. See, as R minus is fixed, so R plus is increasing from lithium to cesium. So when distance increases, means lattice energy decreases. So as size of cation increases, means R plus increases, R minus fixed, When R plus increases means lattice energy decreases due to increase in size of cation. So when we move top to bottom, size of cation increases means lattice energy decreases, and when lattice energy decreases, we know lattice energy is proportional to the melting point and boiling point. So in this case, when lattice energy decreases, melting point and boiling point also decreases. Now we can say the hydrides of alkali metals due to increase in the size of metal, due to increase in the size of metal atom, lattice energy decreases. As the size of metal ion increases, lattice energy increases. So lattice energy decreases, therefore melting point and boiling point also decreases when we move down the group. Now see the reaction of ionic hydride. As we know, these hydrides are ionic hydrides or salt-like hydrides. So basically, when these hydrides reacts with water, so these hydrides are basically S block elements hydride. See example like sodium hydride, S block hydride, ionic hydride. When reacts with water, when it reacts with water, it forms NaOH with the liberation of H2 gas. So basically, we can say these type of hydrides, S block hydrides, also we can say salt-like hydrides, produces hydrogen gas on hydrolysis. Hydrolysis means with a reaction with water. Also, the hydrogen gas is obtained. By the electrolysis. Hydrogen gas is obtained by the electrolysis of sodium hydride, and hydrogen gas is obtained at the anode. So hydrogen gas is obtained at the anode terminal. See how. So basically, on electrolysis, next point is on electrolysis of these hydrides. On electrolysis of these hydrides, H2 gas is released at which terminal? Anode terminal. See how. So basically, how H2 gas is obtained at anode terminal? We know if there is like sodium hydride. So sodium hydride will break into Na plus and H minus. So sodium hydride will break into Na plus and H minus. As we can see that Na plus by the gain of electron. So reduction takes place and deposit in the form of sodium metal. Now we have H minus. So this is basically a ionic hydride. And we know when there is electrolysis of ionic hydride, hydrogen gas is obtained at anode. So basically Na plus from the metal hydride gains one electron and deposit, because gain of electron means this reaction occurs at cathode. So this reaction occurs at cathode by the gain of electron. So sodium will be deposited at cathode. Now we have H minus. So basically H minus will release in the form of H2 gas. So H minus will release in the form of H2 gas. Now balance the atoms. When atoms are balanced, so 2H. So now hydrogen atoms are balanced. Now balance the charge. So -2 charge on left hand side. So right hand side, how many electrons are there? 2 electrons will be added. Now charge is balanced. As we can see that there is loss of electron. And we know that the loss of electron means this reaction is basically occurs at which terminal? Anode terminal, because at anode there is a loss of electron. So we have seen that on electrolysis of metal hydride, hydrogen gas is obtained at which terminal? Anode terminal. And metal is deposited at which terminal? Cathode terminal. So this is basically how hydrogen gas is obtained at anode terminal by hydride ion oxidation, loss of electron, and metal deposited at cathode. So basically we have discussed about the metal hydride, also called salt-like hydride, also saline hydrides. So these are prepared by prepared by mainly S block elements, and these hydrides, S block hydrides on hydrolysis gives hydrogen gas.